What should I do?
Save America.
When a beloved son of Elon Musk A-12, known for his genius level of IQ, suddenly disappears from the public eye due to a life-altering accident, it leaves fans with a million questions. You might think it's just the rumors, but now, after months of silence, Elon Musk is finally breaking his silence, revealing the shocking details of what happened and the toll it has taken on their family. What are the details that Elon Musk spoke about? Join us as we reveal the details of what really happened to A-12, a split second that altered A-12's life forever. It happened in an instant. One moment everything was fine, the next chaos unfolded. A-12, Elon Musk's son, found himself in a terrifying situation that no one could have predicted. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, just a drive through the scenic roads of California. Musk, always the innovator, had taken his son out in a prototype Tesla, a vehicle that had yet to be revealed to the public. The father and son were reportedly discussing future technology, AI advancements, and A-12's latest interests. Just another day in the life of the Musk family. But that day would not end, as expected. Eyewitness reports suggest that everything changed in a matter of seconds. As the Tesla cruised along the Pacific Coast Highway, something went wrong. The car, allegedly in autonomous mode, suddenly swerved to the side. Musk, known for his calm demeanor in high-pressure situations, reacted immediately, grabbing the wheel and attempting to regain control. But it was too late. The Tesla veered off the road, crashed through a guardrail, and rolled down an embankment, flipping multiple times before coming to a stop in a cloud of dust and smoke. Panic set in instantly. Musk, who had been secured by his seatbelt, managed to unbuckle himself quickly despite sustaining minor injuries. His immediate concern wasn't himself, it was his son. A-12 was unresponsive, his small frame trapped under the crumpled dashboard. Musk called out his name, his voice filled with desperation. "Stay with me, buddy," he reportedly said, his hands trembling as he tried to reach it. Emergency responders arrived in record time, but for Musk it felt like an eternity. As firefighters worked to pry open the wreckage, he refused to move, watching helplessly as they attempted to free his son. Bystanders described the scene as heart-wrenching. One of the most brilliant minds in modern history brought to his knees, powerless in the face of something he couldn't control. When A-12 was finally pulled from the wreckage, there was a brief moment of hope. He was alive, but barely. His breathing was shallow, his pulse weak. Paramedics wasted no time, loading him onto a stretcher and rushing him to the nearest trauma center. Musk insisted on riding in the ambulance, refusing to leave his son's side. It was the first time many had ever seen him not as a billionaire, an entrepreneur, or a visionary, but simply as a father fighting against time to save his child. As news of the accident broke, the world held its breath. Social media exploded with concern, theories, and speculations. Was it a malfunction? A hack? A targeted attack? Tesla and SpaceX employees flooded online platforms with messages of support, while critics wasted no time questioning the safety of Musk's beloved autonomous technology. Meanwhile, inside the hospital, none of that mattered. All that mattered was whether A-12 would survive. The horrifying crash, a moment that stunned the world. The crash was unlike anything the world had seen before. In an instant, the Tesla prototype, once a symbol of innovation and safety, had become a crumpled wreck at the bottom of an embankment. The once sleek vehicle was now a mangled shell of metal and shattered glass. Smoke rose from the wreckage, the eerie silence of the aftermath broken only by the distant sound of sirens racing toward the scene. But inside the car, time seemed to stand still. Elon Musk, dazed but conscious, forced himself to move despite the sharp pain shooting through his body. Blood trickled down his forehead from a gash above his eyebrow, but he didn't care. His mind was fixated on one thing: his son. A-12 had been in the passenger seat, a place that was supposed to be the safest in a Tesla, yet now he was motionless, his small frame pinned by the remains of the dashboard. "Wake up," Musk shouted, his voice raw with fear. He reached out, shaking his son's arm, but there was no response. Panic took over. The man who had built rockets to reach Mars, who had revolutionized the electric car industry, who had once joked about downloading his brain into AI, was now helpless. He fumbled with his seatbelt, his hands shaking as he struggled to free himself. Time was slipping away, and every second that passed felt like a lifetime. Bystanders who had witnessed the accident rushed to the wreckage, some recording, others dialing 911. The scene was surreal. The Elon Musk, a man revered for his invincible persona, now on his knees trying to pry open the crushed door with nothing but his bare hands. It was a moment of raw humanity that no one had ever seen before. When the emergency responders finally arrived, they worked quickly, using the jaws of life to cut through the metal. The tension in the air was suffocating. Musk refused to step back, watching as the firefighters carefully extracted his son from the wreckage. The moment they pulled A-12 free, the entire scene seemed to hold its breath. Was he breathing? Was he conscious? Musk's face, usually unreadable in the face of business challenges, was now an open book of fear. The paramedics checked for vitals. His pulse was weak, but he was alive. Barely. Without wasting a second, they placed him on a stretcher, strapping him in as they rushed toward the ambulance. Musk, ignoring his own injuries, followed closely, demanding to be in the ambulance with his son. "I'm not leaving him," he said, his voice trembling. No one argued. As the ambulance sped toward the hospital, the news had already begun to spread. The world was in shock. Headlines flashed across every major media outlet. Elon Musk's son in critical condition after devastating crash. Social media exploded with speculation. Was it a Tesla malfunction, a cyber attack, or something far worse? Within minutes, millions of people were watching, waiting, and praying. But for Musk, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the boy lying on the stretcher, fighting for his life, emergency surgery, and a family in crisis. The moment the ambulance doors burst open at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, the medical team was already in motion. A-12 was rushed into the emergency room, his condition critical. Elon Musk, still covered in blood and dust, tried to follow, but a nurse gently stopped him. "We need space to work," she said, her voice firm yet understanding. For the first time in his life, Musk felt completely powerless. He had built companies, changed industries, and sent rockets into space. But none of it mattered now. His son's life was in someone else's hands. Doctors quickly assessed the damage. A-12 had suffered multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and a severe head injury. His breathing was shallow, his body unresponsive. The decision was made in seconds. He needed emergency surgery. Musk stood in the waiting area, his hands gripping his face, his mind racing through every worst-case scenario. Grimes arrived soon after, visibly shaken, her eyes filled with tears. "He's going to be okay," she kept repeating, though it was unclear whether she was trying to convince Musk or herself. As the hours dragged on, more family members arrived. Musk's other children were flown in, their faces a mix of worry and fear. The media outside the hospital was relentless. Reporters camped out, desperate for updates, while conspiracy theories ran wild online. Some claimed the accident wasn't an accident at all. Others speculated that Tesla's technology had failed in some catastrophic way. But Musk wasn't thinking about any of that. All he wanted was for his son to open his eyes. After nearly 5 hours of surgery, a doctor finally emerged. Musk and Grimes stood up immediately, bracing for the worst. "He's stable," the doctor said, exhaustion in his voice. "But the next 48 hours are critical." Musk exhaled for the first time in what felt like an eternity. But relief was short-lived. The battle was far from over. A father's desperate plea and the emotional response from family. Elon Musk stood outside the intensive care unit, staring through the glass at his son, who lay motionless, hooked up to countless machines. The rhythmic beeping of the monitors was the only sign that A-12 was still fighting. Musk had never felt this helpless before. He was a man of action, a problem solver, someone who thrived on fixing what was broken. But this was something he couldn't engineer his way out of. Doctors had warned that the next 48 hours were crucial. Any complications could mean irreversible damage. Musk refused to leave the hospital. He barely ate, barely spoke, and refused to take phone calls. Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter were the least of his concerns. The world outside was in chaos. Media speculation, stock market fluctuations, and endless conspiracy theories. But inside that hospital room, all that mattered was his son. At one point, Musk was seen sitting beside A-12's bed, gripping his hand tightly. "You're the smartest, strongest kid I know," he whispered, his voice raw with emotion. "You're gonna come back from this. We have too much to do, remember?" His words hung in the air, met only by the steady hum of the ventilator. Grimes had barely left the room either, her eyes red from crying. Musk's other children had arrived, standing in silent support, though no words could ease the fear that gripped the family. Even his ex-wife Justine Musk, despite their history, reached out. "No parent should ever have to go through this," she reportedly texted. The world was watching, but for Musk, nothing else existed beyond that hospital room. All he wanted was to see his son's eyes open again, to hear his voice, to know he was still there. And in that desperate moment, the billionaire, known for his unshakable confidence, did something no one had ever seen before. He broke down. The road to recovery, a slow and painful journey. The first sign of hope came when A-12 finally opened his eyes. It was brief, just a flicker of consciousness before he slipped back into sleep. But it was enough to bring Musk and Grimes to tears. The doctors had warned that recovery would be slow, and they weren't exaggerating. The injuries had been severe, and his body had gone through immense trauma. There were still risks: brain swelling, nerve damage, possible memory loss. But for the first time since the accident, there was a glimmer of optimism. The following weeks were grueling. Ex-A-12 struggled to move at first, his body weak from the injuries and surgeries. Musk was by his side every step of the way, watching as his son fought through the pain, pushing himself harder than anyone expected. Physical therapy sessions were exhausting, but necessary. Every small movement, every tiny milestone was a victory. "You're stronger than this," Musk told him, watching as he tried to regain control over his limbs. The emotional toll was just as heavy. Ex-A-12 wasn't just healing physically, he was dealing with the psychological impact of the accident. Nightmares, anxiety, frustration, it all weighed on him. Musk, who had always encouraged resilience, found himself learning a new kind of patience. He wasn't just a father, he was his son's biggest source of strength in a battle that neither of them had been prepared for. Outside the hospital, the media frenzy hadn't died down. Every update, every sighting of Musk leaving the building was dissected. Was Tesla to blame? Had there been a software malfunction? Would Musk change his stance on autonomous driving? None of that mattered to him. His only focus was his son and the long, painful journey ahead. The road to recovery was slow, but they would walk it together. The media frenzy and conspiracy theories explode online. The moment news of the crash broke, the internet erupted. What started as concerned well-wishes for ex-A-12's recovery quickly spiraled into a storm of speculation, conspiracy theories, and media chaos. Every major news outlet covered the accident, dissecting every possible angle. Was Tesla's autopilot to blame? Was there a security breach? Was it even an accident at all? Social media was even worse. Within hours, countless theories had surfaced. Some claimed that the crash had been staged to cover up something bigger, perhaps a failed experiment or a secret government project gone wrong. Others were convinced that the accident had been an attack targeting Musk and his family. A deepfake video even began circulating, showing a hacked version of Musk's Tesla moments before the crash, fueling paranoia that someone had remotely taken control of the vehicle. Tesla skeptics wasted no time jumping on the controversy. Critics of Musk's self-driving technology flooded forums, calling for investigations, lawsuits, and even the shutdown of Tesla's autopilot program. If Musk can't even keep his own son safe in a Tesla, how can we trust his technology? One viral post read, sparking a massive debate online. Meanwhile, news crews camped outside the hospital, desperate for an update. Every time Musk left the building, cameras flashed and journalists shouted questions. Was his son awake? Had Tesla issued a statement? Would Musk take responsibility if the accident was linked to the car's AI? He refused to engage, walking past them with a hardened expression. Even within Musk's own companies, tension was rising. Tesla executives scrambled to control the narrative, while SpaceX and Twitter employees watched in shock as their CEO, usually the face of confidence, remained uncharacteristically silent. Investors worried. Stock prices wavered. And through it all, the world waited, hanging onto every new rumor, every leaked detail, every wild theory. What really happened? That was the question on everyone's mind, and until Musk spoke out, the internet would continue filling in the blanks, whether the truth was there or not. The public's emotional reaction and the world's support. The world watched in disbelief as news of ex-A-12's accident spread like wildfire. What had started as a terrifying report quickly became one of the most talked about stories in recent history. Social media platforms flooded with messages of concern. Hashtags like Pray for A-12 and Stay Strong Elon began trending worldwide, and people from all walks of life, fans, celebrities, business leaders, and even politicians, shared their thoughts on the shocking event. It was rare to see the entire world unite behind one cause, but in this moment there was no division. Everyone wanted to see A-12 pull through. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. Thousands of people gathered outside the hospital where Musk's son was fighting for his life, lighting candles, holding up posters with messages of encouragement, and even forming prayer circles. For some, it was about more than just Musk's family. It was a reminder that even the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world were not immune to tragedy. Some even compared the moment to the global reaction after Princess Diana's car crash, an event that had similarly stunned the world. Meanwhile, Musk's companies stood still. Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter employees paused their work to send messages of support. At Tesla headquarters, an entire floor was reportedly filled with cards, flowers, and gifts from employees who wanted Musk to know they were thinking of him. At SpaceX, engineers who had spent years working under Musk's demanding leadership were now rooting for him in a way they never had before. It was a rare, deeply human moment, one where Musk wasn't the billionaire genius pushing humanity forward, but simply a father fighting for his son. The tech world also rallied behind Musk. Jeff Bezos, despite their public rivalry, tweeted, "No parent should ever have to go through this," wishing Elon and his family strength. Even Mark Zuckerberg, who had previously clashed with Musk on AI safety, shared a heartfelt message. Hoping for a full recovery for XAEA-12. Family is everything. When some cynics suggested these messages were performative, Musk's brother, Kimball, stepped in to thank those who had reached out, saying, "This is bigger than business. It's about family." Hollywood wasn't silent either. Robert Downey Jr., who has long been compared to Musk for his portrayal of Tony Stark, shared a video message saying, "Elon, you've inspired the world. Now let the world lift you up. We're all rooting for your son." Other high-profile figures like Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and even Oprah Winfrey publicly sent their well wishes. Grimes's fans, known for their passionate support, organized virtual gatherings and music streams in honor of XAEA-12, hoping to show solidarity with the devastated mother. However, not all reactions were positive. Critics of Musk, particularly those who had long opposed his stance on AI, self-driving cars, and wealth inequality, used the moment to reignite debates. Some claimed the accident was proof that Tesla's technology was dangerous, while others suggested Musk's priorities had always been too focused on the future, ignoring the risks of the present. Conspiracy theorists pushed bizarre claims, insisting there was more to the crash than what was being reported. Despite the noise, the overwhelming global response was one of compassion. People, regardless of their opinions about Musk, recognized that at the heart of this story was a young boy fighting for his life. There was a universal understanding that no parent should have to experience the pain of nearly losing a child. As the days passed, letters, drawings, and gifts from children around the world were sent to the hospital, many addressed to XAEA-12 himself. Some of the letters came from kids who had grown up admiring Musk's vision for the future, others from children who simply wanted him to know that they were thinking of him. A 10-year-old boy from Japan wrote, "You are strong. I hope you wake up soon. I want to go to Mars one day, and I hope you do too." Another child from Germany sent a drawing of a Tesla rocket flying through space with the words, "Get better soon, X. The universe needs you." Inside the hospital, Musk was deeply moved by the support. For a man who had built his career on logic, engineering, and pushing humanity toward the stars, this moment was profoundly human. He wasn't reading stock reports, checking Tesla's performance, or launching a new product. He was just a father, overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers. The accident had shaken the world, but in its wake, it had also revealed something powerful, that even in moments of tragedy, people could come together in hope, support, and compassion. Whether it was the biggest names in tech, music, politics, or everyday fans, the message was clear. XAEA-12 was not alone in his fight, and neither was his family. What's next for XAEA-12? A future still unwritten. As the dust begins to settle and XAEA-12 continues his recovery, one question remains on everyone's mind. What's next for him? The accident changed everything in an instant, and while the physical healing is well underway, the emotional and psychological impact will take much longer to process. The world watched in shock when one of Elon Musk's children nearly lost his life, and now they're watching just as closely to see what the future holds for him. For Musk, this experience has reshaped his priorities. Known for his relentless work ethic and ability to juggle multiple billion-dollar companies at once, he's now shifting his focus towards something much more personal: his family. Insiders have claimed that Musk has spent more time at home in the past few months than he has in years. While Tesla, SpaceX, and his other ventures continue to operate, those closest to him say he's been far more involved in his children's lives since the accident. Some speculate that this event may even lead him to reconsider the balance between his mission to change the world and his role as a father.